Chapter 8. I came to with a start from the cold touch of snow against my neck. Naro had a hand on the back of my head, holding it up, and soon the cold snow was replaced by something warm being stuffed in between. I glanced down as Naro righted me into a sitting position against the tree and found myself wrapped tight in wool blankets with a raincoat serving as a shield between me and the snow. Naro reached into his coat and pulled out a grungy scarf, which he unceremoniously plopped onto my head. Sad. I was hoping you'd stay unconscious. You're a lot quieter and a lot less trouble then. I blinked at Naro, trying to get over the black fuzzy earmuffs he had on his head. Then it clicked. You went into the house? And came out fine. He tucked his gloved hands into his pockets and leaned against the tree beside me. I looked up at him, then back down to the warm cocoon he had wrapped me up in. It took a bit of awkward squirming to release an arm to wrap the scarf about my neck. Thanks for keeping me warm. I wiggled my buried toes. Any news on Ayako? Nope. What? I, had one of those dreams. And I'm sure you're about to tell me about it. He hesitated. Was Jean there? Yeah, he, pointed out that the sitting room that we've set up based is warded against spirits. Someone built symbols of some sorts into the walls. That's why whenever we're in there, we haven't heard the baby cries. He closed his eyes and nodded. I had a theory about that. I went on to tell him about the utility closet, as well as the somewhat lackluster foxfire within. When I mentioned Jean's reminder, karma is a bitch, Naro barked a short, loud laugh that caught me off guard. That's him. He pushed off the tree. Is that it? Pretty much. Did you see any foxfires in the boxes? Not really, though the area around them was really bright and colorful. Ayako's blood looked like... I get the idea. He tapped his shoe in the snow, looking back at the huge house with its Annabella columns and carefully pruned evergreen bushes. So there's something else here besides the cumin. Every time I hear that, I can't help but think about cumin. You know, the spice? He didn't respond, still tapping his shoe in the snow. He had a look I knew all too well, of sharp concentration. Then he seemed to decide something within himself and turned to me. I'm going to go in and open one of the outside windows to the base so you can climb in. I thought that a little extreme. What are you so afraid of? I don't get afraid, he said dryly. I rolled my eyes. Okay, Vulcan, you have a theory on what happened to Ayako, and it somehow has to do with me. Care to share? I thought it was obvious. Everything was obvious to him. To Naro, he was but a step down from omniscience. When the spirit of the baby was released from its body, it went to the only place it knew, the womb. What transpired between it and Ayako, I can't be sure, and as far as I'm concerned, John only released one so far. But I'd like to play it safe. Especially given that we didn't know just how close to death Ayako was. I shivered and wrapped my arms around me. He spared me a glance, but after seeing what he must have wanted to see, he gestured me to the side of the house and went in to open up the window. Picking up the raincoat he had used to separate me from the snow, I hitched up the blankets he had put over me and set out on my merry way across the snow-packed yard. It took a lot longer to get to the window than I would have liked, and by the time I made it, my legs had gone numb from the knee down and the air in my lungs hurt. He was waiting for me and opened the window. Once he found out just how lame, numb, and frozen legs are in giving sufficient leverage into a window, he sighed, got a better hold on my upper arms, and pulled hard. I must have been lighter than he expected, because I came shooting over the window ledge. He stumbled back, his heel caught in the edge of the carpet, and we went down in a foomp of blankets. The warmth and feel of his body against my own slim, shivering one stunned me stupid. While my brain commanded me to get the freak off my boss, my body went deaf. I never knew a man could feel like this. And so warm. You're crushing me. Since my knees had gone out of commission, I pushed and let myself roll onto my back on the floor. I wasn't blushing. I was too stunned to. The ceiling had elaborate square molding, carved of varying dark and the usual golden oak. I could smell the pine of the cleaner and something flowery in the carpet. Naro closed the window. Without a word, he picked up the snow-covered blankets and flung them over the coffee table. The door leading into the entrance hall had been closed tight, and I could hear the quiet whirring of the computer's CPU. When I continued to lay there, admiring the ceiling I'd never bothered to notice, Naru reappeared in my vision, looking down at me with something close to his usual smirk. "What, are you hoping against hope that I'll kiss you?" There was the blush. "What? Are you kidding me? Can't I just lay here in peace for a moment? It's not like you need me to do anything." "You could feed the fire. It's gotten rather small in our absence." "You feed the fire, you freaking narcissist." He sighed. "Well, seems you're fine then. Guess I don't have to worry about your psychological state." I stared at his back as he made his way to the fire and proceeded to throw in logs. He had been worried about me? Of course that gave me that weird fuzzy little warmth you get in your stomach. Probably had some idiotic smile on my face as well. Once he had fed the fire, he sat down at the monitors and rewound the tapes to see if anything had happened while we had been out. I sat up and proceeded to peel off my wet shoes and socks, and on finding my pants also soaked and freezing, I groaned. "Any chance I could convince you to get me a dry pair of pants from my room?" "A little busy," he muttered. He had stopped at one frame and was leaning down under the table to pull out another case, in which he took out the instrument I remember Lynn using back with the Urato case to look behind the plaster of the walls. He punctuated his busy with the click of the power switch. "There you go. That's a gentleman for you." "Then don't turn around. I'm taking off my pants and wrapping a blanket around me." "Sure." To say I had hoped he would respond in a fashion more fit for a teenage boy when told by a girl that she was about to strip behind him would be an understatement. I almost wanted to go full out naked just to get a reaction from him of any kind, but dignity, and knowing he'd probably just glare and say I had reached a new level of moron, got in the way. I managed to peel off my wet pants in a timely fashion. As I reached for the throw blanket on the back of the couch, I noticed my book and inwardly smiled with relief. So I wouldn't be stuck without anything to do here. I nearly had a heart attack when Naru got up, wall scanner thing in hand, but his head didn't so much flinch in my direction as he put it to the nearest wall. The throw blanket was blessedly dry and warm, and I made myself a little skirt from it. After scanning his one wall, he went back to the computer and clicked about for a bit, leaving the scanner to hum away next to him. "I'm going to go check out the closet on the second floor." The chair's rubber feet squeaked a bit as he stood. "Stay here." I dropped my book in surprise. "Are you stupid? Jean said not to go there without protection, and if I recall, you're not a spiritualist. Can't you just wait until Monk or John get back?" "I'll be fine. I still have one of Yako's charms." "Yeah, like that helps so much against anything besides possessions." I almost threw down my book. So much for a nice escape from freaked out reality. "If you're going, I'm going too." His gaze went sharp as a knife. "No." "What you gonna do, karate chop me?" "I'll lock you in, and I'll go out the window and around." "Real mature, Mai. I'm just going to glance inside. We don't have any cameras or sensors there." I clenched my fists against the half-born yell in my mouth. I nearly released it when a sudden spurt of intuition hit me in the stomach. I had been so caught up in how I was reacting to Ayako's accident that I had yet to see how Naru was. She was still his friend, not to mention, in a way, his responsibility. Was it possible he blamed himself for what had happened to her, even if he had no way of foreseeing it? It would be just like Naru to expect that he should have foreseen it anyways. He started towards the door, having grabbed a thermal camera and the same wall scanner. "I'm serious, Naru. I will follow you." "Fine," he snapped, his mood changing so quickly I jumped. "Put all my efforts to keeping you safe to waste. Don't you dare haunt me if you die." And with that, he moved out the doorway and through the rows of boxed Kuman Thongs like a visitor moving through tombstones. Chapter 8.